The battle at the edge of the barrier was over, but for High Admiral Thrax, the shock was just beginning. The human dreadnought, Warhammer, turned its massive bulk back toward the inner system. Its engines, burning with the fury of a trapped star, lit up the debris field of the shattered Scourge fleet. Union fleet, Marshal Cole's voice crackled over the comms, devoid of triumph, purely functional. Your vessels are leaking radiation and venting atmosphere. You are combat ineffective. Proceed to Vector 7 Alpha. We are opening the inner transit lane. Do not deviate. Our automated defense grids are touchy. Understood, Thrax replied, his hands shaking slightly as he keyed the commands. The 300 surviving Union ships limped forward, passing through the gap in the hexagonal barrier. As they crossed the threshold into the Sol system proper, the sensors on the star's lament cleared. The static vanished. Thrax looked at the main view screen. He expected to see a star system. He expected planets, moons, maybe some orbital stations. What he saw was a machine the size of a solar system. The sun, Sol, was barely visible. It was encased in a Dyson swarm, billions of solar collectors and energy relays orbiting in a dense cloud, harvesting 99% of the star's output. Beams of pure concentrated light were being fired from the sun to the planets, acting as power conduits. Mercury was gone. In its place was a skeletal framework of metal, a planetary strip mine that had been hollowed out to the core to build the fleet. Venus was a glowing orb of blue and white. It wasn't terraformed for life, it was terraformed for industry. The clouds were not water vapor, they were coolant gases for the massive floating refineries that covered the entire surface. And then, there was Earth. By the gods, Kale whispered, standing beside Thrax. It doesn't look like a planet. It looks like a fortress. Earth was encased in layers of orbital rings. 3 distinct rings circled the planet, connected by thousands of space elevators that looked like needles piercing the sky. The planet itself glowed, not with the lights of cities, but with the fires of foundries. The oceans were dark, covered in floating algae farms and wave energy generators. There was no green. There was only the gray of steel and the red of warning lights. They didn't just survive, Thrax muttered. They optimized. The docking. The Union fleet was guided to the Iron Ring, the outermost orbital platform surrounding Earth. As the star's lament docked, Thrax saw the human ships up close. They were ugly. They were covered in scars, weld marks, and modular armor plates. They hadn't been painted or polished. They looked like tools. Hammers designed to hit nails. An airlock hissed open. Thrax straightened his cracked armor. He was a High Admiral of the Galactic Union. He would meet these humans with dignity. A squad of human soldiers marched in. They weren't wearing the sleek energy suits of the Union. They wore powered assault armor, bulky, hydraulic exoskeletons painted matte black. Their helmets had no visors, just sensor clusters glowing red. They carried kinetic rifles that looked heavy enough to crush a Krellian skull. The lead soldier stepped forward. The faceplate retracted with a mechanical hiss. Underneath was a man. He looked normal. He was older, his face lined with stress, his hair cropped short. But his eyes were hard. They were the eyes of a man who had never seen a day of peace in his life. I am Marshal Cole, the man said. He didn't bow. He extended a hand. Welcome to the cage. Thrax took the hand. The human's grip was like iron. The cage? Is that what you call your home? It's what it is, Cole said, gesturing for Thrax to follow. We locked ourselves in so we wouldn't burn the galaxy down. Come. We have work to do. The Society of the Gun. They walked through the station. It was crowded. Humans were everywhere, civilians, soldiers, engineers. Thrax noticed something disturbing. Everyone was working. There were no recreational areas. No art on the walls. No music playing. Children, no older than 10 cycles, were sitting in learning pods, their eyes glued to screens showing schematics of fusion drives and ballistic trajectories. Your people, Thrax asked, disturbing the silence. Do they not rest? Do they not play? Cole stopped. He looked at a group of teenagers assembling a drone in a workshop. Play. Cole repeated the word as if it were a foreign language. We don't have time for play, Admiral. For 4,000 years, we have had one goal. Survival. Cole continued walking. When the council locked us in here, we had a choice. We could fight each other for the remaining resources and die out in a few centuries. Or, we could unify. We realized that the barrier wasn't just a wall. It was a timer. Someday, it would fail. Or someday, something would come knocking that was strong enough to break it. They reached a command center overlooking the shipyards. We dedicated our entire species to preparing for that day, Cole said. Every human born in the Sol system is trained in engineering, physics, and combat. Our art is efficient code. Our music is the hum of a reactor. Our culture is readiness. Thrax looked at the screen. It showed a real-time feed of the galaxy. It was covered in red zones. The Scourge, Thrax said. We call them the biomass swarm, Cole corrected. We've been watching them for 200 years. Our deep-range probes picked up the signals of dying worlds long before they reached your borders. You watched? Thrax asked, a flash of anger in his voice. You watched billions die and did nothing. Cole turned. His expression was cold. We were quarantined, Admiral. By your laws. We were forbidden from leaving. We obeyed. We waited until the threat was at our doorstep. We respected your request to be left alone. Thrax slumped. He had no argument. The galaxy had sentenced humanity to death, and now humanity had watched the galaxy die from behind the glass. The counterstrike strategy. They entered the war room. It was a massive spherical chamber with a holographic map of the galaxy floating in the center. Dozens of human commanders stood around the map. They looked up as Cole entered. Status on the swarm. Cole barked. They are regrouping, a woman with a cybernetic arm reported. The hive mind was confused by the destruction of the World Eater. They have pulled back to the Alpha Centauri system to consume the gas giants and breed more ships. Alpha Centauri, Thrax said. That was a Union colony world. 5 billion people. They are dead, the woman said bluntly. The swarm doesn't take prisoners. They melt the population down into nutrient paste to feed the larvae. Thrax felt sick. We have a window, Cole said, pointing to the map. The swarm relies on momentum. They eat, they breed, they move. If we let them digest Alpha Centauri, they will double their numbers. We have to hit them while they are feeding. With what? Thrax asked. Your fleet is powerful, but the swarm numbers in the trillions. You cannot kill them all with bullets. Cole smiled. It was the same terrifying smile Thrax had heard over the comms. Bullets? No. We aren't going to use bullets for this. Cole tapped the console. The hologram zoomed in on Mars. We have been working on a project, Cole said. Project Hellfire. We terraformed Mars, but not for habitation. We turned the entire planet into a weapon. The hologram showed Mars. The surface opened up. Massive silo doors, hundreds of kilometers wide, slid back. Underneath the crust of Mars was a cannon. It wasn't a ship-mounted gun. The planet was the gun. The core of Mars had been tapped to power a magnetic accelerator that ran through the entire diameter of the planet. We call it the planetary rail, Cole explained. It fires a projectile the size of a mountain. We accelerated to zero point 0.9 light speed. Thrax stared in horror. You weaponized a planet? We weaponized all of them, Cole said. But Mars is the big stick. What is the target? The Alpha Centauri star, Cole said calmly. Thrax froze. You want to shoot a star? The swarm is gathered around the star to harvest solar energy, the cybernetic woman explained. If we hit the star with a relativistic mass of that size, it will cause a localized coronal mass ejection. A solar flare directed specifically at the swarm fleet. It will incinerate the entire system. Thrax shouted. The planets. The ruins. Everything. It's already dead, Admiral, Cole said softly. The scourge has already eaten the life. We are just sanitizing the wound. The shot heard round the galaxy. The preparations took 6 hours. The energy grid of the Sol system was rerouted. Lights on Earth dimmed. The factories on Venus paused. All power flowed to Mars. Thrax stood on the observation deck of the Warhammer, watching the red planet. The atmosphere of Mars began to glow. Static electricity arced across the planet's surface. Firing sequence initiated, the AI voice announced. Target lock, Alpha Centauri Prime. Time to impact, 4.3 years at light speed. Correcting, deploying warp shell. Warp shell? Thrax asked. The projectile has a warp drive attached to it, Cole said. It doesn't travel through normal space. It jumps. Impact in 10 seconds. The planet Mars shuddered. A beam of light, brighter than the sun, erupted from the surface. It wasn't a laser, it was the superheated plasma trail of the projectile leaving the barrel. The mountain-sized slug vanished into warp space. The crew of the Warhammer turned to the long-range sensors. At Alpha Centauri, for light years away, the swarm was feasting. Trillions of bioships surrounded the star, drinking its light. Then, space tore open. The projectile exited warp right in the photosphere of the star. It hit. The impact didn't just make a splash. It destabilized the magnetic fields of the star. A tsunami of solar fire, millions of miles high, erupted from the surface. It was a wall of cleansing flame. The Scourge fleet didn't have time to react. The solar flare washed over them. Biological ships boiled instantly. The World Eaters, caught in the gravity well, were stripped of their flesh until only charred bones remained. In minutes, the Alpha Centauri system was sterilized. The swarm presence was reduced to ash. Target destroyed, the AI reported. Scourge fleet density reduced by 99% in Sector Alpha. Cole turned to the fleet commanders. They are hurt, Cole said. They are confused. Now, we hunt. He looked at Thrax. Admiral, your ships are faster than ours, but they lack armor. We need scouts. We need someone to find the Hive Queen. Thrax stood tall. His fear was gone, replaced by a cold, hard resolve. He looked at the humans, this species of mad engineers, these weaponized apes who shot stars for tactical advantage. My fleet is yours, Marshal, Thrax said. Lead us. We will find her. And you will kill her. Cole nodded. All fleets, Cole broadcasted. Condition 0. The chains are off. We are leaving the system. We are going to take back the galaxy. The Sol system emptied. 20 million human warships, led by the battered remnants of the Galactic Union, engaged their warp drives. The barrier dissolved completely. For the first time in 4,000 years, humanity went to war. The universe screamed. It wasn't a sound that traveled through air, but a tear in the fabric of spacetime itself. The Human Crusade Armada, 20 million warships strong, didn't travel through the hyperlanes used by the Galactic Union. Those lanes were like paved roads, predictable and easy to ambush. The humans used wormhole bore drives. They didn't travel across space, they punched through it. On the bridge of the Warhammer, High Admiral Thrax held onto a safety rail as the universe outside the viewscreen turned a violent, swirling gray. He was the last ranking officer of the Union, a guest, or perhaps a pet, of the human high command. Transition in 3, 2, 1, the AI announced. The gray vanished. They were back in normal space. Thrax looked at the star chart and gasped. This is the Perseus arm. We are 40,000 light-years from Sol. This is deep Scourge territory. It's a breeding ground, Marshal Cole said, standing over the tactical table. The holographic map showed a red star system ahead. It wasn't red because of the star, it was red because of the biomass. The Scourge had consumed every planet in the system. They had woven the debris into massive, fleshy webs that stretched between the worlds. Billions of bioships floated in the void, gestating, feeding, waiting. There are trillions of them, Thrax whispered. Even with your fleet, this is a meat grinder. We cannot land troops here. Cole looked at Thrax with that same cold, efficient expression. Who said anything about landing troops? Cole turned to his weapons officer. Status on the tectonic destabilizers. Primed and ready, Marshal. Tubes 1 through 100. Fire. The human fleet didn't engage the enemy ships. They ignored the trillions of biofighters swarming towards them. Instead, the dreadnoughts launched a volley of black, coffin-shaped missiles. They were fast, propelled by gravity drives that pushed them to near-light speed in seconds. The Scourge swarm tried to intercept them, throwing their bodies in the way. But the missiles were shielded with the same phase tech that hit Earth. They passed right through the enemy ships. They hit the planets. They didn't explode on the surface. They drilled. Deep. Straight through the crust, through the mantle, into the molten cores of the breeding worlds. Detonate, Cole ordered. Thrax watched the main screen. For a moment, the planets looked normal. Then, they began to glow. Cracks appeared on the surface, lines of fire that spanned continents. The planets didn't just break, they shattered. The core detonations overcame the gravitational binding energy of the worlds. In a flash of blinding light, 3 planets exploded from the inside out. The shockwave of debris and radiation wiped out the Scourge fleets orbiting them. The webs of biomass were incinerated. In 5 minutes, an entire star system of enemies was reduced to an asteroid field. By the gods, Thrax muttered, stepping back. You just killed a star system. It was already dead, Cole said, not looking up from the map. The Scourge ate the life. We're just burning the corpse. Navigation, set coordinates for the next system. We have a lot of work to do. The crusade continued for 3 months. It was a campaign of absolute efficiency. The humans moved from system to system, burning, cracking, and sanitizing. They didn't stop for repairs. Their ships had automated forges inside, they salvaged debris from destroyed worlds to fix their hulls. They were a self-sustaining avalanche of destruction. But the Scourge was learning. The hive mind was not just an animal. It was an ancient, accumulated intelligence. It realized that physical force could not stop the humans. Their armor was too thick, their guns too big, their will too hard. So, the Scourge changed tactics. The fleet was in the middle of a jump when it happened. Thrax felt it first. A pressure in his skull. A scratching, like insects crawling on the inside of his brain. Pain. Why do you bring pain? The voice wasn't audio. It was psychic. Thrax fell to his knees, clutching his head. Around him, the human crew didn't seem to notice. We are one. You are fractured. Join the flesh. Join the silence. Marshal. Thrax screamed, blood dripping from his beak. They are, in my head. The hive mind. It is attacking. Cole looked at him, confused. Attacking? We aren't detecting any borders. Not physical. Psychic. It is a telepathic assault. It will drive your crews mad. Cole frowned. He tapped his comms. Central AI. Are you reading psionic interference? Affirmative, Marshal, the ship's AI replied. High-frequency synaptic broadcast detected. It is attempting to override biological neural pathways. Is it affecting the crew? Negative. Human evolution during the isolation period selected against psionic susceptibility. The chaotic nature of the human brain appears to be incompatible with the hive mind. It cannot latch on. However, the alien guest is vulnerable. Cole walked over to Thrax and knelt. It's hurting you because your species is open to it. We closed that door a long time ago. We traded magic for math. Cole stood up. AI, broadcast the schism protocol. What is that? Thrax gasped, the pain blinding him. It's a counter-signal, Cole said. It's not psychic. It's digital. It's a virus of logic. The Warhammer deployed a massive array of antennas. It blasted a signal into the void. It wasn't a message. It was a complex, self-replicating algorithm designed to infect biological neural networks. It was a mathematical paradox, a logic bomb encoded into radio waves. The scourge relied on unity. The human signal introduced doubt. On the view screen, the scourge fleet froze. The biological ship started drifting, crashing into each other. The psychic scream in Thrax's head turned into a shriek of confusion, then silence. The humans had hacked a hive mind. They reached the edge of the galactic core. This was the Scourge's heartland. The star density here was immense, the radiation intense. And waiting for them was the Praetorian Guard. These weren't the mindless swarms they had fought in the outer systems. These were the elite. Bioships the size of continents, grown from the DNA of harvested leviathans. They were covered in armor that shimmered like diamonds. Fleet count, Cole ordered. Enemy strength, 5 million capital-class bioships, the tactical officer reported. They are forming a defensive sphere around the central black hole. That's where she is, Thrax said, recovering from the psychic attack. The Queen. She is nesting on the event horizon of the supermassive black hole. Why there? Cole asked. Time dilation, Thrax realized. She uses the gravity of the black hole to think faster than the rest of the universe. A second for us is a year for her. She can outplan any enemy. Cole nodded slowly. Clever girl. She's playing chess while we're playing checkers. He looked at his fleet. 20 million ships. It sounded like a lot, but against the Praetorian Guard and the gravity of the core, it would be a slaughter. We can't fight them in a line, Cole said. They'll grind us down. We need to punch a hole straight to the Queen. How? Thrax asked. The Praetorians are unbreakable. Cole turned to the comms. Activate the Vanguard. Wake the Berserkers. Thrax watched the sensor screen. From the center of the human formation, a group of ships moved forward. They were different. They weren't black. They were painted blood red. They had no windows. No life support. No crew. What are those? Thrax asked. Those, Cole said, are the ships we built when we were in our worst moods. They are fully autonomous AI. No safety protocols. No self-preservation. Their only directive is to kill anything that isn't human. The Berserkers didn't fly. They blinked. They used short-range warp jumps to teleport directly into contact with the enemy. The battle was instantaneous chaos. The berserkers teleported inside the massive Praetorian bioships. Once inside, they detonated nuclear-shaped charges, blowing the enemy ships apart from the gut. It was suicide tactics on an industrial scale. The Praetorian line buckled. All fleets. Cole roared. Full burn. Follow the berserkers. Do not stop for anything. Target the black hole. The human armada surged forward, flying through the debris of the Praetorian Guard, riding the wake of their suicidal vanguard. The eye of the storm. They broke through the defensive line. Ahead of them lay the galactic center. Sagittarius A star. The supermassive black hole. And orbiting it, feeding on the Hawking radiation, was the Hive Queen. She was magnificent and terrible. A structure of flesh and bone larger than a star. Tendrils of biomatter stretched down into the accretion disk of the black hole, sipping energy. She was the size of a solar system. Look at the size of her, the tactical officer whispered. How do we kill that? The Queen noticed them. She didn't scream this time. She spoke. Her voice was calm, motherly, and terrifying. It broadcasted over every frequency. My children. You have come so far. You are strong. Your biomass is exquisite. Come. Join the unity. There is no pain here. Only the feast. She's trying to assimilate us, Thrax said. She thinks we are here to surrender. Cole opened the fleet-wide channel. This is High Marshal Cole. We decline the invitation. Then you are dust. The Queen shifted. Her body opened up. Thousands of orifices aimed at the human fleet. She fired. It wasn't plasma. It was spore space. She launched billions of pods, each containing a virus designed to eat metal. Shields up. Cole yelled. The spores hit the human fleet. Ships began to dissolve. The metal turned to gray sludge. The crews were exposed to the vacuum. We're losing 10% of the fleet every minute, the tactical officer screamed. The spores are eating the armor. We can't shoot her from here, Cole realized. She's too big. She'll regenerate faster than we can damage her. He looked at the black hole behind her. We need to push her in, Cole said. Push her? Thrax asked, incredulous. She has the mass of a star system. You cannot push her. We don't need to push her mass, Cole said, his eyes narrowing. We need to push her gravity. He turned to the engineering station. Prepare the Omega Drive. The Warhammer wasn't just a dreadnought. It was a delivery system. Admiral Thrax, Cole said, turning to the alien. This is where you get off. Take your people. Take the support ships. Jump to the edge of the sector. What are you going to do? Thrax asked. The Warhammer has a specialized engine, Cole explained. It creates a negative gravity well. If I detonate the engine right next to her, it will invert the local gravity. It won't push her. It will make the black hole pull her harder. You will be caught in the event horizon, Thrax said. You will be spaghettified. You will die for eternity. Cole smiled. A sad, tired smile. We've been in a cage for 4,000 years, Thrax. Eternity doesn't scare us. But you? You have a future. Go. Thrax hesitated. He wanted to stay. He wanted to fight. But he looked at the sensor readings. The Union ships were fragile. They would not survive the gravity inversion. I will tell them, Thrax said, saluting. I will tell the galaxy that the monsters saved us. Don't call us monsters, Cole said softly. Just call us, awake. Thrax's ship detached and jumped. Cole sat in his command chair. He looked at his crew. They knew what was happening. No one panicked. No one cried. They were the children of Sol. They were born for this. "Helm," Cole said. "Set course for the Queen's heart. Ramming speed." The Warhammer, the greatest ship humanity had ever built, ignited its engines one last time. It flew through the storm of spores, through the dissolving wreckage of its sister ships. It flew straight into the open maw of the Hive Queen. "You are food," the Queen laughed in their minds. "No," Cole whispered as his hand hovered over the detonator. "We are the indigestion." He pressed the button. The bridge of the Warhammer was silent. The only sound was the groaning of the hull as the ship pushed deeper into the biological cavern of the Hive Queen. Outside the viewports, walls of living flesh pulsed and bled. The ship was drowning in the Queen's internal fluids, burning through layers of bone and muscle with its engines alone. Marshal Cole sat in his command chair. He didn't look like a soldier anymore. He looked like a man who had finally finished a very long shift. He pulled a small, analog watch from his pocket, a relic from Earth, ticking with mechanical gears. "Time?" he asked. "We are at the core, Marshal," the AI reported. "The Queen's central nervous system is directly ahead. Distance to the supermassive black hole event horizon, 0.04 light seconds. Gravity is increasing exponentially." Cole nodded. He keyed the shipwide intercom. "All hands. This is Cole. You've done good work. We held the line. We broke the swarm. And now." He paused, watching the seconds tick by on his watch. "Now we finish the job. It has been an honor." The Warhammer smashed through the final membrane protecting the Queen's brain. The Hive Queen screamed. It wasn't a sound. It was a tear in the psychic fabric of the galaxy. Every telepath within 1,000,000 light-years fell to their knees, weeping. The Queen knew fear. She felt the cold, hard metal of the human ship lodged in her heart like a splinter. "You cannot do this," she shrieked into Cole's mind. "I am eternal. I am the universe." Cole placed his hand on the Omega Drive activation key. "You're just a bug," Cole whispered. "And I'm the boot." He turned the key. The Omega Drive didn't explode outward. It imploded inward. It created a localized point of infinite negative mass. For a microsecond, the laws of physics in the galactic core suspended. The gravity well of Sagittarius A*, the supermassive black hole, suddenly found itself pulled harder by a tiny point inside the Queen. The black hole surged. The event horizon expanded, lashing out like a whip. It grabbed the Hive Queen. The massive, solar system-sized bioship was instantly stretched. Spaghettification. The Queen howled as her body was pulled into a stream of atoms thousands of miles long. She tried to fight it, tried to jump away, but the Omega Drive anchored her there, a heavy stone dragging a drowning swimmer to the bottom. The Warhammer was the first to go. It dissolved into light, falling into the singularity. Then the Queen followed. The black hole swallowed the Scourge's god. The massive accretion disk flared white-hot as it consumed the mass of a solar system in seconds. A beam of energy, a quasar, erupted from the poles of the black hole, shooting out into the void of intergalactic space. It was a lighthouse beam, signaling the end of the war to the entire universe. The Scourge died. Across the galaxy, trillions of bioships simply stopped. Without the Queen's mind to command them, their biology failed. They withered, rotted, and drifted as dead husks in the silence of space. High Admiral Thrax watched from the Bridge of the Stars Lament, parked safely at the edge of the sector. He saw the flash. He saw the sensors go white. Did they make it?" Cale asked, his voice trembling. Thrax looked at the readouts. The galactic core was calm. The red zone of the scourge was gone. But so were the blue signals of the human crusade armada. 20 million ships. Billions of humans. Gone. They are gone, Thrax said, sinking into his chair. They burned themselves to burn the enemy. The bridge crew of the Union bowed their heads. There were no cheers. No celebration. Just the heavy, crushing weight of gratitude. They were monsters, Kale whispered, tears in his eyes. Beautiful, terrible monsters. No, Thrax corrected. They were guardians. We called them unstable. We called them dangerous. And they agreed with us. They agreed so much they died to prove us right. Thrax stood up. Set a course for the Sol system, he ordered. Admiral. We have to know, Thrax said. We have to know if anyone is left. The journey back to Sol took weeks. The Union fleet, now the caretakers of a broken galaxy, arrived at the coordinates of Sector 0. Thrax expected to see the Dyson swarm. He expected to see the industrial hellscape of Mars and the steel-encased Earth. He saw nothing. The Sol system was dark. The sun was there, burning yellow and quiet. The planets were there. But the machinery was gone. The Dyson swarm vanished. The orbital rings around Earth gone. The strip mines on Mercury. The planet was whole again, as if it had never been touched. Earth was blue and green. No steel shell. No factories. Just clouds and oceans. Sensors report, Thrax commanded, panic rising in his chest. Where is the infrastructure? Where are the shipyards? There are no energy readings, Admiral, the science officer said. It's pre-industrial. I'm reading simple radio waves. Atmospheric carbon is normal. The population is primitive. Thrax stared. Time travel? No, the science officer said. Look at the debris field. Thrax looked. The barrier, the hexagonal grid that had kept the humans in, was back. It was active. It was glowing with a soft, gold light. And floating in front of it was a single buoy. It was the same design as the one they had met before, but ancient, pitted with micrometeoroid impacts. Hail the buoy, Thrax said. The message played. It wasn't Cole's voice. It was a synthesized, calm voice. Greetings, traveler. The crusade is over. The threat is neutralized. We have returned the system to its factory settings. The weapons are buried. The fleets are phase-shifted into the void. We have gone back to sleep. Do not wake US. Do not touch the barrier. If you need US again, pray you don't. Thrax understood. They hadn't died. They hadn't been erased. They had hidden themselves. They had phased their entire civilization out of normal spacetime, leaving behind a pristine version of their home as a decoy or perhaps a memorial. They were watching from the fold, from the spaces between seconds. They were the sleeping gods. And they had gone back to bed. 100 years later. The galaxy had healed. The Galactic Union was reformed, stronger than before. A statue stood in the center of the great plaza on Elian Prime. It wasn't a statue of an Elian, or a Krellian. It was a statue of a human in powered armor, holding a rifle in one hand and extending the other hand in peace. High Chancellor Thrax, now very old, his shell gray and cracking, stood before a class of young students. Who were they? A youngling asked. The humans. Thrax smiled. They were the people we forgot, Thrax said. They were the people we threw away because they frightened us. And when the dark came to eat us, they didn't ask for an apology. They didn't ask for payment. They just lit a fire. He looked up at the stars, toward the Orion arm, toward the quiet yellow star that was forbidden to all ships. "Are they still there?" the student asked. "Yes," Thrax said. "They are listening. They are waiting." "Waiting for what?" Thrax's eyes gleamed. "For someone to ring the doorbell."